Late at night, a young woman suddenly woke up on a cold wooden bench at the train station. For a few seconds, she did not understand where she was. The wind moved quietly through the empty platform, and the yellow lights above flickered in the silence. She rubbed her tired eyes and looked around, hoping to see people or hear the sound of a train. But the station was completely deserted. Her heart began to beat faster when she looked at the large clock on the wall. The last train had already left. Fear slowly filled her chest because this town was unfamiliar and she had nowhere to go. Her phone battery was almost dead, and every road outside the station looked dark and lonely. She felt trapped and helpless. Just when she thought the night could not get worse, she noticed a tall figure walking slowly toward the platform. It was a quiet cowboy, and his presence changed everything. The young woman had been traveling for many hours, carrying nothing but a small bag and a heart full of painful memories. Earlier that day, she had quietly walked away from a life that had broken her trust and left her feeling empty. The train station was supposed to be a temporary stop, a place where she could rest for a few minutes before starting a new journey. But exhaustion slowly took control of her body, and while sitting on the wooden bench, she accidentally fell asleep. When she finally opened her eyes, the world around her felt completely different. The station that once had people and noise was now silent and deserted. The lights looked dim, the wind moved softly across the empty platform, and every corner felt strangely cold. Confusion quickly turned into fear when she realized no trains were coming anymore. In that lonely moment, she understood something frightening. She was completely alone in a town she did not know. She slowly stepped away from the bench, hugging her small bag close to her chest while the quiet station seemed to grow even colder around her. The empty platform stretched into the darkness, and every distant sound made her heart jump with nervous energy. Just as she tried to gather the courage to walk outside and search for help, a faint echo reached her ears. It was the steady sound of boots touching the ground somewhere beyond the dim lights. She froze for a moment and looked toward the far end of the platform where a tall figure was slowly coming closer. The man walked with calm, unhurried steps, and the long shadow of his hat moved across the concrete floor under the weak lights above. As he entered the brighter part of the station, she realized he was a cowboy wearing a dusty jacket and worn boots, the kind of man who looked like he belonged to long roads and open land rather than a quiet train station in the middle of the night. Her mind immediately filled with questions and silent warnings. She did not know who he was, where he came from, or why he was here at such a late hour. The woman's first instinct told her to stay cautious because trusting strangers had already caused her enough pain in the past. She slowly stepped back, keeping a careful distance while watching his every movement. The cowboy noticed her worried expression but did not rush toward her. Instead, he stopped several steps away as if he understood that she needed space. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke, and the wind softly moved across the empty tracks behind them. The silence felt heavy, yet strangely calm at the same time. The cowboy gently removed his hat and spoke in a quiet voice that carried no threat, only simple concern. He asked if she was waiting for a train or if she needed help. His tone surprised her because it was patient and respectful, not demanding or careless. She hesitated before answering, her thoughts moving between fear and hope. Finally, she explained that she had fallen asleep and missed the last train, and now she had no idea how to leave the station or where to go in this unfamiliar town. The cowboy listened carefully without interrupting, his expression thoughtful as if he understood the seriousness of her situation. When she finished speaking, the man glanced toward the dark road beyond the station entrance and then back at her with calm eyes. He told her the next train would not arrive until morning, and the nearest hotel was miles away through quiet country roads. The woman felt her chest tighten again because the reality of her situation suddenly felt even more difficult. She was stranded in a silent place with very few options and an entire night ahead of her. The cowboy seemed to notice her growing anxiety, and after a brief pause, he offered a simple suggestion that carried unexpected kindness. He said his ranch was not far from the station, and he could give her a ride if she felt comfortable enough to accept. The offer hung in the cool night air, leaving her standing between uncertainty and the possibility that this stranger might be the only safe path forward. For a few quiet seconds, she said nothing, standing under the dim station light, while the cowboy's offer remained in the air between them. Her thoughts raced through every warning she had ever learned about strangers, yet the empty platform behind her reminded her that she had very few choices left. The wind moved gently through the silent tracks, carrying the distant sound of rustling trees from beyond the station road. She studied the man carefully, searching his face for any sign of danger, but all she saw was calm patience. The cowboy did not step closer or pressure her to answer. He simply waited, giving her the space to decide for herself. That small gesture made something inside her relax slightly. Finally, she spoke in a cautious voice, asking where exactly his ranch was and why he was even at the station so late. The cowboy explained that he had come to deliver supplies earlier that evening and was heading back when he noticed the station lights still on. When he saw someone sitting alone on the platform, he decided to check if everything was all right. His explanation sounded simple and honest, yet she still felt the weight of uncertainty pressing against her chest. Trust had never come easily to her, especially after the painful chapter she had left behind earlier that day. Still, the thought of spending the entire night alone at the deserted station felt even more frightening. She glanced toward the dark road again, imagining herself walking alone through unfamiliar streets with a dying phone and no clear direction. The situation suddenly felt impossible. The cowboy seemed to understand her hesitation because he gently added that she did not have to decide immediately. He pointed toward an old pickup truck parked near the station entrance and said she could sit inside the truck while she thought about it, just to stay warm for a while. His voice remained steady and respectful, never forcing the decision. That moment of patience slowly eased the tension in her mind. After another long pause, she finally nodded, though her movements were careful and guarded. The cowboy walked ahead toward the truck but kept enough distance so she would not feel uncomfortable. The gravel crunched softly beneath their steps as they crossed the quiet parking area. When he opened the passenger door, a faint light inside the truck revealed a simple interior that looked worn but clean. She hesitated again for a brief second before climbing in, holding her bag tightly on her lap. The cowboy started the engine, and the gentle hum of the vehicle broke the deep silence of the night. For the first time since waking up alone on the station bench, she felt a small sense of relief. Yet uncertainty still lingered in her heart because she knew she had just placed her safety in the hands of a man she had met only minutes earlier. As the truck slowly rolled away from the empty station, the platform lights faded behind them, and she realized that whatever happened next would change the direction of her night in ways she could not yet imagine. The truck moved slowly along the quiet country road while the empty station disappeared into darkness behind them. And for a while neither of them spoke as the headlights cut through the cool night air and long shadows passed across the windshield. The woman sat carefully in the passenger seat, still holding her small bag close to her chest, watching the unfamiliar road stretch into the distance. At first the silence felt awkward, yet it was also strangely peaceful compared to the fear she had felt earlier on the empty platform. The cowboy focused on the road with calm concentration, never staring at her or asking uncomfortable questions, and that quiet respect slowly made her feel less tense. After several minutes, she finally broke the silence by softly thanking him for stopping to help her. He nodded gently and replied that no one should be left alone at a deserted station in the middle of the night. His simple answer carried a sincerity that surprised her. The truck continued moving through open land where scattered lights from distant farms flickered against the dark horizon. As the road curved between long wooden fences and sleeping fields, she slowly began to feel that the heavy fear in her chest was fading little by little. The cowboy asked where she had been traveling from, and she hesitated before answering, unsure how much of her story she should share with someone she had only just met. Yet something about the calm rhythm of the ride made it easier for her to speak. She quietly explained that she had left a difficult life behind earlier that day, a place where trust had been broken too many times and where every promise eventually turned into disappointment. Her voice trembled slightly while describing how she had spent months trying to fix problems that were never hers to carry. The cowboy listened without interrupting, keeping his eyes on the road while giving her his full attention. Instead of offering quick advice or judgment, he allowed her words to exist in the quiet space between them. That patience made her feel heard in a way she had not experienced for a very long time. As the truck rolled forward beneath the wide night sky, she found herself sharing more than she expected, speaking about the exhaustion that came from constantly pretending to be strong when she felt completely lost inside. The cowboy responded with calm understanding, occasionally offering a few thoughtful words that showed he respected her courage for walking away from something that had been hurting her. His tone remained steady and gentle, never pitying, never dismissing her feelings. Gradually, the tension in her shoulders softened and the tight grip on her bag loosened. The quiet road seemed less intimidating now, and the darkness outside the windows felt less threatening. For the first time that night, she realized she was not thinking about fear anymore, but about the strange comfort of sitting beside someone who treated her with genuine kindness. The ride continued through peaceful farmland where the stars looked bright above the open fields, and although she still did not know exactly where the road would lead, she began to feel a small but powerful sense of safety growing inside her heart. The truck continued along the quiet road until a wooden gate appeared beside a long stretch of fencing, and the cowboy slowed the vehicle before turning onto a narrow dirt path that led toward a small ranch resting beneath the wide night sky. Soft lights glowed from the windows of a modest farmhouse, and the peaceful sound of wind moving through tall grass filled the air as the engine finally came to a gentle stop. The woman looked around carefully, taking in the calm surroundings that felt far removed from the fear she had experienced earlier at the deserted station. For a moment, she wondered if this was where he planned to drop her off so she could continue her journey alone in the morning. The cowboy stepped out of the truck first and walked around to open her door with quiet courtesy. When her feet touched the ground, the cool night breeze brushed against her face, while distant crickets created a gentle rhythm across the dark fields. She thanked him again for bringing her this far, assuming their paths would end here. Instead of simply nodding and leaving her outside, the cowboy paused thoughtfully and looked toward the warm lights shining through the farmhouse windows. In a calm voice, he explained that the roads around the ranch were empty at night and that the nearest town was still many miles away. Leaving her outside until morning did not feel right to him. He then offered something she did not expect. He said she was welcome to stay inside the house for the night where it was warm and safe, and he could prepare a simple meal because she had probably not eaten much during her long day of travel. The woman was surprised by the sincerity of the offer because it carried no pressure or hidden expectation. The cowboy spoke with the same quiet respect he had shown since meeting her at the station. She hesitated for a moment, thinking about how strangers had disappointed her in the past. Yet the calm atmosphere of the ranch and the honest kindness in his voice slowly eased her doubt. Finally, she accepted with a small nod, still feeling cautious but deeply grateful. The cowboy led her toward the farmhouse where the porch light created a welcoming glow against the wooden steps. When he opened the door, a wave of warmth and the comforting smell of fresh coffee drifted into the cool night air. The interior looked simple but peaceful, with wooden furniture and soft lamps that gave the room a gentle golden light. He invited her to sit at the kitchen table while he prepared something warm to eat. As she watched him move quietly around the kitchen, she realized that his kindness did not feel forced or dramatic. It was simply natural to him. In that quiet moment, a realization slowly formed in her mind. The night that had begun with fear and uncertainty had brought her to a place where someone treated her with genuine care without asking for anything in return. For the first time in a long while, she felt the fragile return of trust, and it reminded her that real kindness still existed in the world. Morning light slowly entered through the ranch window, painting the quiet room with a warm golden glow as the woman opened her eyes and realized she had slept peacefully for the first time in a very long time. The fear and uncertainty that once filled her heart during the lonely night at the station now felt distant, almost like a fading memory. She stepped outside onto the wooden porch where the calm fields stretched endlessly under the soft morning sky, and in that silent moment, she understood something powerful. Missing the last train had not been a disaster after all. It had quietly guided her toward a place where kindness still lived. The cowboy greeted her with the same respectful smile, offering breakfast and a ride to town whenever she felt ready to continue her journey. Yet something inside her had already changed forever. The world suddenly felt less cold, and hope gently returned to a heart that once believed trust was gone. Sometimes life closes one path only to reveal a better one waiting in the distance.